Boom. What is up, Hoosier Nation?
Woo!
What's up, Jackson Johnson? Shout out to Jackson Johnson. We are live, Brad. New slot, not a new slot, different
Nah,
slot,
no, it's the flex alert. This is a
flex
straight up
slot.
flex alert. It's a flex alert.
First,
Pacers are tomorrow, so we wanted to flex it to today. So, what?
that's so funny. I had the stream up in the background by accident, and so I was hearing myself.
Oh, okay. I
I
didn't
was
hear
very
anything on my
confused.
end, so you were good.
No,
But
yeah.
yeah, we had the Pacers game tomorrow. Big day for the state of Indiana. Game 4, we're up 2-1 on the Knicks after a thrilling game 1, which probably I thought at a point deflated the Knicks to a point where there's no coming back, but here we are. They come back 20 points down to win game 3, and here we are, game 4, 2-1.
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
I'm really pulling for the Pacers here. I really am.
100%. This is definitely isn't an NBA pod. We're not going to talk much Pacers, but in terms of like yesterday had the chance to be an absolutely legendary Indiana sports day for the people who had the chance to go to both events, the Indy 500 and the playoff game. Obviously, Indy didn't win, but still, just what a day for the city, what a day for the state, and yeah, we want to show respect, show love to the Pacers fans. Like, obviously, neither of us are Pacers fans. As a Celtics fan, I know a thing or two about blowing 20-point leads to the Knicks. But yeah, we're pulling for the boys, and yeah, we want to let the Pacers fans be able to watch us and watch the Pacers tomorrow night. So, first ever Indiana Hoosiers live flex. So we're live on a Monday night. Happy Memorial Day! Shout out to we're remembering those who sacrificed, and yeah, we're just here to celebrate and live on a Monday.
Yeah, we love it. Yeah, it's great. I'm happy. Yeah, happy to be here on the Memorial Day extravaganza is what we're calling the episode. Really. I know you named it. Yes, you're too low on the 2025 Indiana Hoosiers, but I'm calling it the Memorial Day extravaganza. That's what this episode is.
Well, yeah,
anything goes on the Memorial Day extravaganza. It does.
Anything does go, but I did kind of want to theme this because there aren't any like gigantic or super major talking points. So I did want to kind of give it a theme, and like just people should be. I completely lost my train of thought. So let's start with Kamara. Mikhail Kamara.
That's usually me. That's supposed to be. That's my.
Yeah,
bit.
no.
You can't steal my bit like that. That's not.
No, but I was gonna say just people aren't putting enough respect on this version of the 2025 Indiana Hoosiers. We'll get into the kind of the on-3 stuff that came out over the week for them, but just like still too many people are looking at last year like a fluke. So you look at somebody like Mikhail Kamara and people are like, yeah, like what do you make of his season? PFF tweeted out like 3 hours ago. Last year he had an 86.4 PFF grade, 10 sacks, 18 QB hits, 66 pressures, and a 17% win rate. Our friend Jamie Jordan came over the top of that, said Mikhail Kamara averaged 5.23 pressures per game, and his 68 total pressures ranked first in the FBS, 2 more than third overall pick Abdul Carter. Carter got his 66 in 16 games. That's 4.13 per. Kamara played just 13. So that just kind of shows you how good Kamara was last year. And if you think about Kamara getting more one-on-one opportunities this year,
in theory, we'll see. We do have that running theory that he's moving back to the big end, considering the Wyatt and the Daily bring acquisitions is what we're calling them, I guess. Transfers.
And
yeah, I mean, I'm expecting just in general, just production to go up year after year. You're in college. These are the biggest developmental phases of your career, and I'm expecting a leap from 10 to possibly. I've alluded to the Greg Middleton record at 16. I think that should be, if it isn't already, should be the goal for Mikhail Kamara. I'm sure he has his eyes set on it. I don't think it's come up in any of his. It shouldn't. I don't really want it to. But yeah, that should be his goal, would be to get 16 and a half sacks on the year. At least.
Yeah, I agree. I tweeted that out today too, and I stole the point you gave me. So, but you're kind of like the information department, so I feel like it's fair game.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Not gonna lie, reading that tweet, I was a little upset. I was like, that's my stat poll. The Greg Middleton pull and the.
You gotta be quicker than that, Brad.
Yeah, back in the day, Greg Middleton, Jamie Curlew, for those that know, those guys both played in the NFL, so they turned out to be pretty good there. Way back in the day, Indiana in the Hep days had a pretty decent NFL like pass rush duo. No one really talked about. Probably didn't have a whole lot of much else, but yeah, there's always been great players that rolled through.
One of us is gonna have to get stat corrected on if
what stat corrected on
Hep was the coach in 07.
07? Probably was.
I digress. We're getting Bison promos, Brad. More Bison promos. Last week we were like the Bison's back, and obviously that's what all the two reveals were. We got 2 more promos. The third one, Coach Sig is watching film and I'm almost 100% positive this is how it happened. They walked in with the crew basically to Sig watching film. We're like, can we film you for a promo video? And he's like, you get 1 take in 10 seconds. It's like they overlaid the ponds, roll out the big red carpet over the play that they kind of blurred out. But if you actually like take the second to like look at what's blurred out on the screen, like it's some team going into an end zone, not even the same direction of it's not the same play that they put the audio towards. Not obviously, clearly not the point. It was
of the Michigan State. He was watching the Michigan State game very, very clearly. Very obvious that was the Michigan State game he had on tape. So, and and based on the angle, that definitely was tape. That was not like a broadcast.
No, 100%.
So he was 100% just in there. I don't know. I don't know if they came in. I don't know if that's when he first knew about the clip. I think they told him about it and was like,
no, I'm sure they were like, we're showing up.
You'll have 5 minutes to get this done. Like,
make this quick. I got to watch 2028 film.
Yeah. He did not do any face-to-face interaction with the media department until they got into that room.
Like, we think he's watching Kansas. He's watching like D2 in the middle of Kansas. That's not what he's watching for offensive innovation. He's watching like the Bundesliga of college football.
I think it was just the Michigan State game, to be honest. I think he was just self-evaluating the team.
The 4th promo, Brad, because obviously the 3rd promo was just to get Sig involved, but the 4th promo was the first time we got clear visual of part of the Bison head. That was the screenshot I put up, the screenshot a bunch of different people put up, but it was Coach Darren DeVries just going unconscious from the floor, shooting like we haven't seen in our time as Hoosiers. They're fun. I love the promo videos. Keep them coming. I like the fact that we got the first view of the Bison, but now I'm like, all right, give me more.
Yeah, no, I liked that. First off, I'm pretty sure that's the first media clip of Darren DeVries. First off.
No, he did some like Hoosiers
besides his announcement and like donate to the Hoosiers Connect.
Oh, probably. I mean, they've been recruiting.
It's his first like thing he's done with them because he's been out there on the trail, which is awesome. But yeah, seeing the Bison, at least in terms of, we only saw maybe 1/4 of the head. It didn't look as
I would
stupid.
say
I had the worry that it was going to look stupid, and you were like, there's no way they'll let it look stupid. And I was like, you never know. And then from the looks of it, it's promising from what I saw. The little sliver, the horn looked solid. Didn't look like too much, too little. They might have just nailed it with something.
Do you think they're gonna do like are we gonna get like Yeagley and Morin and like are they gonna do an air? Like, are we gonna get like every coach in a video that's like one part of the Bison sticking out, or do you think it's gonna be like at some point he's just gonna like jump out and be in the middle of the football stadium, and then there's gonna be a bunch of like
honestly, I like the videos. Like, don't get me wrong, but let's just announce it, get used to it. Like, I want to have visual of. I want more content of the, instead of sneak, like, what do you call it, alluding to the Bison, like, let's like get the Bison, let's like just have them,
during his reveal, do you think he'll be laying in a circle of home field apparel merch, or do you think that comes slightly after?
I think he'll be, I hope they nail it. Like, they'll probably do a Yeagley teaser they'll probably throw in a Yeagley, and then they'll have like a compilation of him just at all the different the pool. He'll be at the Bart. He'll be at Yeagley. He'll be at Memorial. He'll be at Assembly Hall. He'll be in all those different spots. He'll be on Kirkwood. He'll just be around. You know, he or she, I guess. Are we going to do the double, like, he's, you know, Josephine Bruin, you know, you have Wilbur and Wilma Wildcat at Arizona. Are we
you have Wally and Tessie.
Are we going to do the multi
the double mascot?
Two bison? Is it going to be two?
The male and female bison. I don't know if I would. I don't know. Short answer is I don't know. I feel like there are endless possibilities. Could there be like a this year 1 bison, next year 2 bison type thing, and then you just keep adding to the herd? Like, I don't.
I will say I think I'm all for just the one male bison, because I think males are fully capable. Like, as a equalist, I believe men are just as capable of supporting women's sports as women. Because we're all equal.
You were talking about like specifically for the different sports. I went full.
Yeah, because like the whole idea of the women's mascot is to have like women's representation for women's tennis and women's soccer and all the women's sports was the whole idea around, you know, having 2 mascots, a man and a woman type mascot.
I don't know. I feel like we'll see. Deep in the woods. Let's see what they got going on here first before we get that far. Yeah. But bison don't eat turf, Brad, obviously, but they wouldn't be eating the turf that's at Memorial Stadium right now because it doesn't exist anymore. I don't know if you saw it, but they completely ripped up the old turf. You can see actually in my background, that turf I'm standing on right there, no longer there. Respectable Adam on Twitter, one of my favorite follows, was the first time I saw something about it. He asked for an A. If I don't know if we have any type of power in that regard, but if we could somehow start or help push a campaign to get him an A, that'd be awesome. So just putting that out into the universe. I don't know
what is that.
Like, you know, INDIANA in the end zone.
Oh, like the name Indiana.
Yeah. Cut out the A and give a piece of the A to Respectable Adam. Or get the whole A.
Just give it to him.
I'm behind it. That's all I'm saying.
If we can do anything to push that, we have no pull here, but yeah, we can try. But I think changing the field, I feel like they should be doing that every year, especially if they're
100%. Well, I have some speculation for you. Ready? First of all, I already have my answer to this one, but do you think there's any chance they would make it grass?
No,
I don't think so.
I'm a very pro grass person. As master of the eye test, I think every field should have grass in to prevent injuries. I think it's the biggest cause of ACLs and any sort of injuries in general. It's all turf related, and I think we should stick to the Rose Bowl does it right. But the thing is, you know, not all these stadiums are in Pasadena, California. It's really hard to maintain. These turfs, and it costs a lot of money, while at the same time in certain areas being impossible. So I understand it. I think Indiana might be one of those areas, but you know, if we can do grass, we can do grass. And I feel like the NFL should have grass. As long like college, I think it's fine.
Yeah, MetLife. Like, listen to this BS.
You know what I mean? Like you know how much money is different. Like,
well, like, dude, MetLife Stadium is switching full blown to grass for the World Cup. They're literally going to host the final in 26, and then after the final, they're going right back to turf. How ridiculous is that? It's crazy.
That's pretty awesome, honestly.
Crazy.
But yeah, I mean, that's just how they were able. I think that was the caveat for them to even get into the World Cup, was that they had to go to the grass.
So no, they did. You couldn't. All the fields for male FIFA tournaments have to be grass. They will not play on turf. The women they'll let play on turf, whatever. It was a huge problem for the World Cup they hosted, I think, in Canada. But like, for the men, they won't let them play on turf. Crazy.
Yeah. We got a couple comments. PK says Kamara will be helped significantly by another speed rusher. Couldn't agree more. He's got 2 on the way. Daly and Wyatt both fit that mold, especially Wyatt more so, but they both have that build of what, you know, an undersized end would look like. So
real quick, piggybacking off of that, all of the transfers who came in, that's Wyatt, Daly, Brady, spacing on
That was
a couple of the other. Was that it?
Yeah, that's all we brought in the spring.
Oh, well, they're all officially on the roster. They got like roster pictures and rent. I was like, am I missing somebody?
No. All we did. I remember commenting about it last week. I'm just like, feel like they kind of slowed down a little bit. They have like 55 spots and they didn't fill them. So interesting.
Yeah.
Red flag.
If you want to nitpick, like
We're trying to
if you want to be,
that's
if you
where
want to
we're at.
be
That's where
nitpicky
we're at
and be
with this
serious,
team. We're like, if we want to
top
freak
flight
out
program,
about
like what would? No, I wouldn't say freak out or sound the alarm, but like if you're gonna like, it's not like sunshine and roses and daisies and whatever, like honeymoon period BS, all of that. Like I think if you got a candid Signetti, and now maybe I'm 0 for 1 on these predictions with what you were saying about Phil Rivers, but
yeah,
I think Sig would tell you, like he very openly stated they needed more linebacker depth. That was a month ago.
Interesting. Yeah.
So I don't know if that was just to motivate the guys in the room, but he doesn't really just like, he's not like use the media to motivate. Like that's not his style.
Oh, he'll let you know.
So like,
if he needs more out of you, he has no problem telling you.
Like I'm not exactly, would I be nervous about it? No. If I was going to be like objective about like, are we running like a top flight program? Like, no, I'm assuming they probably want to address some of those needs.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I've never even approached this in terms of what felt like a honeymoon phase. It's been only green flags up until I guess this thing where we're not filling all our scholarships going in after spring.
Well, I would say it's just, I wouldn't say we're in the honeymoon phase, but I think a lot of people who are latching on late to Indiana football might like I don't know if that was the right terminology because like I think there's a lot to be excited about. But again, if you're gonna like nitpick, like there are 5 open scholarship spots on this football team right now. Like if you could fill those with impact guys, obviously that could play this year, that makes you better. So
yeah, and then kind of on the same note, to answer John's point, I think Landino and Ndukwe, from what it looks like, are going to get significant playing time on the defensive end this year, based on just the amount of depth we have. We talk about 8 playable guys. If we were to find the 8 best guys on the D line room right now, those guys would be included. So that's what it's looking like. And Ndukwe and Landino are gonna.
But we sit here and
yeah.
I was gonna say we sit here and talk about like 5 spots maybe being an issue, but like there was a Big Ten huddle graph or whatever that was like biggest problems for each team going into next season, and the one they had for Indiana was offensive line depth. And they have 8 playable guys on the offensive line. So like
there's not a whole lot of holes in this
it's
team,
like it's not it's really not like DEFCON 5
sense if you can like clearly upgrade your starters.
Exactly.
And like if we were able to do that in the first place, we have a lot of bigger problems to worry about. So it's we could bring in, I could see us bringing in a freshman that we like, sophomore, like some younger guys that probably aren't going to play. But in terms of, and that will probably require more evaluation on their end in terms of, are we going to bring in this guy? Then, just a quick little, starting D end at Maryland, Wyatt, run some tape on him, get a phone call with him. That's a much easier process to bring him in as opposed to taking a chance on maybe, a freshman who just hit the portal that maybe they're evaluating on. You got to understand why they hit the portal, things like that. So if that's their plan for those last 2 spots, makes a lot of sense why we haven't seen a lot of action yet. But at the same time, let's say nothing happens. I don't think we're in the worst spot either. Just with the amount of our 2 deep is awesome right now. And it's going to take, I don't know if there's guys in the portal that can upgrade that right now. I just don't think those guys exist.
I want to talk about the class of 2026. I want to, do you want to start positive? You want to start not negative, but kind of like
negative? Let's start negative. I like this era that we're in our new, like, let's be haters for a little bit era. Let's be,
Okay, let's start here. We'll start with Showtime sales. Obviously, Indiana's in heavy for Monshun sales. He has a really strong relationship with Davion Chandler. I bring that up because they both posted to or reacted to, I can't remember who posted it first, but a picture of the two of them basically saying we're the best duo in Indiana. And I agree with them, first of all. But second of all, it's just like, it's not like openly like teasing the Indiana fans, but anytime that you see sales associated with the university, like it's going to pique fan interest. And like the closer and closer you get to, like, again, he's not close to bringing down his list of schools. Like Ohio State came in with an offer this week, and we knew that was coming. Like that's inevitable. He's a really good player. Like Ohio State, Oregon, LSU, like all the top schools are going to want this guy. So it's like me and you were talking about this, Brad. And comes to Luke Fahey too, the quarterback they're targeting in the class of 2026. Ohio State's coming in for Fahey too. He's got an official visit scheduled on June 20th. Now the Hoosiers get Fahey in on the 6th, so they get him before he goes to Ohio State, but Fahey called Ohio State a dream school. So it's like I wrote down it's time to play the game. But this is kind of the realm that Cignetti has brought Indiana to. Is like, okay, cool. Now you're in a recruiting battle with Ohio State. What's up?
Yeah, I think it's what I've said over and over again in like our group chats with Jamie Jordan, and either it's just our chat with us where it's just welcome to the Thunderdome, Indiana University. We're in a spot where we're starting to go after obviously these high fringe 3-star guys that we're in on early. Like we're gonna get them, and we're seeing that momentum right away. But then we talk about stacking days, stacking weeks, stacking years. That comes with these early on recruiting battles. We already had one with Juju Lewis, and we lost. We've had not many others, to be honest. And we're starting to get to a point where we're going to have to start where we can now go after these 4 and 5-star guys. And those guys are going to, because those are the program changers. Those are the guys that get you over the hump that Indiana is currently trying to get over. Right. So obviously you might have some of those difference makers in house, but you got to continue bringing them in year after year because they're only there for 3 or 4 years. Right. So you got to do this year in and year out. And Indiana's now in a point to do it. And yeah, welcome to Thunderdome. We're going after these top guys. Guess what? Ohio State's here, and it's time to just be in a battle with them. With that being said, I'm a lot less concerned about sales than I am Luke Fahey. Going into that, I think sales has said enough to where it's like if he doesn't go to Indiana, I'd be kind of just like, why were you saying all those things this whole time? It was always going to be like, I think there's something to this Lawrence North to Indiana pipeline. I think he seems like a type of guy that knows he's going to be successful anywhere, and it doesn't. But he also recognizes, obviously I'm going to go to a good program, but it doesn't have to be Ohio State. Like if I go to Nebraska or Michigan or UCLA or USC, like it's all going to be fine. Like I'm going to be successful either way. So it's really just about finding the school that's best for me, and it's not so much about the logo for him. And being an in-state guy, I think there's a lot of draw for him to go to Indiana. And he said over and over again, the best to play in Indiana, the best in Indiana, play at Indiana. And, obviously I'm not going to take a junior in high school for his word, over social media, right? Especially in these times, but I'm not going to like hold it against him by any means, but I think we're in a really good spot with him. And obviously Luke Fahey, who's a 4-star quarterback, not a 5-star, getting that Ohio State attention definitely is worrying. Ohio State has great ties in Southern California. Obviously, CJ Stroud was just there 5 years ago. I mean, it's Ohio State. They have pull everywhere. So seeing them come into play for our current top quarterback, that's another. I mean, if we want to get nitpicky here, this is a concern, guys. Like we got to get a quarterback commit.
Well, I know that part, yes, but I would say that it's more telling that Ohio State's basically watching Indiana's rivals page and then just like showing up the next day for kids that either commit or get offered.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, that's not a bad strategy.
I like that a lot. It's a good strategy by them, but I also think that puts Indiana in a good, like, again, dream school all you want. Like when Luke Fahey was dreaming about Ohio State, Indiana was the worst football program of all time. So I'm not saying he's like that they have a chance to change his mind or anything, but like I'm not going to take our oars out of the water with an official visit coming up. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm not either. I mean, we're definitely gonna stay on them, and it
Oh,
just comes
100%.
down to, are we gonna win this battle or not? If not, we're gonna have to pivot, and these things are gonna happen, and I don't think it's wise for any of us to, freak out over it. This is just kind of how things happen. Now, if we just keep missing and missing and missing, like if Sales goes somewhere else, that will be his commitment is probably at least a year away. So I might be just crazy even talking about this right now, but
Yeah,
that's
I
one
don't even think,
where I'm like, okay, hold on.
It's early to have early conversation. Like it's too early to have this
Yeah.
conversation about him.
Yeah. But it is a Showtime Sales podcast.
It is. No, it 100% is. But I was going to say, to your point about Indiana needing to get a quarterback, it's a lot harder to recruit the offensive side of the ball without a quarterback. We saw Corey Amatri, 4-star running back, number 1 running back in Michigan, that they were going after, commit to Kansas. Now, in my opinion, Kansas was by far the worst team on his list. Like Kansas, Pitt, Indiana, Michigan State. Like
Lance
I don't
Leipold
know.
runs a very running back friendly offense.
This
You
is
remember
true.
the Buffalo kid? What was his name? Oh my god, he was so small, but he had like 2,000 yards his senior year, and then he goes on to Kansas, and then they had the Devin Neal, era, and he's a great player. I think he got drafted.
He did.
I mean,
Sixth round.
that's not a bad decision for Corey Amatri. It's a fine decision. Big fan.
No, it's a fine
as a
decision
running
too,
back
but I
just
like
going to Kansas. That's not a bad place to be.
that's not like a loss where I'd be kicking myself. Like I think Indiana's going to be all right in the running back room, but obviously that's somebody we were watching. But another guy Indiana's watching, Cardinal Mooney's LaRon Dews cut his list of 5: Indiana, West Virginia, Oregon, Georgia Tech, and Southern Florida or South Florida. So he's definitely a name to watch for sure. And then you also talked about getting like these fringe 3-4 stars where like evaluation takes over and like who really knows what they're looking at. Like Jay Timmons, you brought him up last week. Like he looked absolutely freaky, locking people down over the weekend. Jamie sent us an article. But yeah, that's a player who's like pushing towards 4-star status, probably going to get it. And just a kid who they were in early on that they just beat the evaluators on, which is not surprising at all.
Yeah, you know how I feel about him. He's an NFL son, so he's great. He's a 4-star in my book. Just based on his last name, he's a 4-star to me. So it really just comes down to what's he gonna do at the college level. I think we just gotta nail him down because clearly he's gonna get some more attention from the usual suspects. Probably.
I mean, listen, Oregon's in there.
Yeah, I'm sure they
so
are.
Like it's not like. And then last week we talked about how deep the defensive back room is and how set they are for the future. One person we didn't mention, just that like they got a lot of guys. Garrett Reese, there's videos of him going around putting in work. He's going to be on campus obviously for the fall. He's another one of those guys in that Byron Baldwin, Hollywood Bell, Zachary Smith, Sianta Stewart class of defensive backs. These guys are all in the same class. Like
and Garrett Reese is one of those names where he was toward the bottom of the list on the rankings,
which should tell you everything you need to know.
One of the more memorable tapes that I watched.
I was going to say, I almost feel like the farther down the rankings they are, the more you should be watching those guys because, like, obviously this staff knows more than the people ranking the players.
You watch Garrett Reese and you're like, oh, he just does everything correct. It's just about like getting him right physically. That's just all. That's all that matters for Garrett Reese. Yeah, excited for him to get on campus.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Not expecting anything
definitely didn't
this year. PK. Speaking of expecting, PK asks, what is expected impact of Chandler this year? We've talked about this a lot. I think with the Tyler Morris injury, he's going to be asked from his opportunities are going to be more plentiful than they would be if Tyler Morris didn't get hurt. They brought in Jonathan Brady, but I still see, Jonathan Brady was not the same level of Tyler Morris I thought was going to be. in this offense in terms of number of snaps. So he's going to have a lot more opportunities, and there's going to be more asked of him. I think he was rated higher than Kendrick and Bond coming out of high school for a reason. He's probably more D1 ready than those other guys in terms of size. So I think in terms of a team that needs a slot, bringing in a 4-star slot track guy helps out tremendously, regardless of him being a true freshman or anything. So I'm not having crazy expectations for him. I think we're going to go very three-headed monster, EJ, Coop, and Surratt. But in terms of having slot guys in there, he's going to have a lot of opportunity. Him and Brady are probably going to be the top 2 guys for next year.
Yeah, I think
would be my expectation.
You hit on an important thing there that we don't have like astronomical expectations for him, right? It's not like, okay, he's going to come in and win Big Ten Player of the Year, but he can be a key contributor in this offense, play significant snaps in the slot and be effective. Maybe not early in the season, but you see by week 4, week 5 that freshmen really do have an impact on these Cignetti teams. Given his status, given his speed, given his like ranking at the position, I think it's more than fair to say that he's going to come in and demand some playing time pretty early. But again, like I
bet he gets a first down in the Penn State game.
You look at Surratt, you look at Cooper, those are going to be 2 all Big Ten guys. You look at EJ Williams, he can also be an all Big Ten guy. It depends on volume for him and staying healthy. So it's like
Mekhi Jackson's going to come back at some point.
In Mekhi Jackson, it's like how many different mouths can you feed? So I don't know if I'd necessarily be like, okay, he's going to be all Big Ten, but yeah, I think he could be a highly impactful freshman used in key spots that works his way into more playing time. That's any of them.
He's our second most game ready slot receiver that we have going into fall. So that whatever that role theoretically is on this team, that's his, being the number 2 slot. Like whatever, like think Keyshawn Williams, but less tick. Keyshawn Williams-esque impact, maybe possibly less, just because snap count.
No, I feel like that's a good
yeah.
I think they're gonna have a couple guys that kind of have that same like between Key Williams and Cross, like production between those 2 guys.
Price and
no, I'm saying like no, I know.
Oh, like Cross, how he was the backup.
Yeah.
Cross is like
you still 2-3 targets a game, maybe. Certain games maybe it was a little bit more, but there's gonna be a bunch of guys between like 2 to 3 and like 5 targets a game.
Yeah,
and then you're obviously gonna have volume for Surratt and Cooper.
Yeah, I think Chandler's gonna be something special. Body control on that kid.
But awesome. His
he can play outside. Stupid. He can play outside with his athleticism. He just doesn't have.
Cold is the word. Cold is the word I kept coming back to for Davion Chandler from the Sigs Inside pod account last year. But this kind of leads us perfectly into shout out to Gabe, the graphics guy for Voice of College Football on socials. They put out their prediction for the Indiana starting offense. He reached out to me beforehand. We kind of collabed on that. On the original graphic, and I can't even blame him, he had 2 running backs. He had Kaelon Black and he had Roman Hemby, and then obviously Cooper Surratt. 5 guys on the graphic, Mendoza quarterback, and then Surratt Cooper. I told him kind of the same thing me and you have been talking about for 2-3 weeks, that like we believe it's going to be 3-headed monster and we believe EJ Williams is going to play prominently. So that's why you saw the graphic come out as Mendoza, Hemby, then the 3 receivers. But I think the exciting part
Indiana football last year, they strictly run 11 personnel like the entire time. 3 receivers, 1 running back, 1 tight end. Now who are
they're all going to be used
varies, but like they really don't go out of that too often. So to have that on the graphic, I think is important. So it really comes down to you put Holden Stays or EJ Williams on the graphic.
I think that's part of what makes this current iteration of the roster so interesting, is that I think you could argue that they're a lot stronger in like 12 personnel. And you have Nowakowski as the H-back / blocking tight end, and you have Stays, and you go a little bit bigger, and you're Cooper and Surratt on the outside, or you do something where you have the 2 running backs or like on the field at the same time. I think the formational versatility of this team compared to last year's team is a lot different. Now, is that going to make the offense better? I don't know. We'll see. I guess it's going to fall
down to how good is Nowakowski. I don't know. We'll see.
Sig
I don't
loves him.
know.
One spell
Like,
guy.
yeah, because I guess we upgraded Bamba with him, and we still have Bamba there. Bamba was kind of our second 12 personnel tight end that we'd bring in last year with Horton, and because Bamba can really block. For those that aren't familiar with James Bamba, I've seen him maybe get a target or two. He shouldn't be getting targets at all. He should be blocking only. He's really good at it. So it's going to come down to how good is Nowakowski. I think you nailed it on the head. Like, we can go with personnel where we have Stays and Bamba, Nowakowski's in the backfield as like a fullback. And then we just hand it off to Kalon Black right up the middle.
MB Black, like whoever.
MB or Black,
DB,
really.
like,
yeah.
I really think we're going to see all three of them. And like, I know we clowned Kansas, but like, I've been referencing the way they use running backs for like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, in that style of offense, I wouldn't be surprised to see Indiana take like hints and notes from that to utilize the personnel they have.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, honestly, that makes me think Corey Amatri is going to be a lot better than people think because he was very smart and went to a very running back friendly program.
I didn't say he was going to be bad. I just
start.
said I wouldn't consider it.
I know you didn't. I'm saying this guy's going to be like all Big 12 one day, and we can clip this.
Well, the fact that Indiana was on him tells me he's going to be good. But I would just say losing out on his commitment isn't like I wouldn't call that a loss as opposed to like you look at what happened with Brody McWhorter where like
with the portal these days, none of these like actually matter. If you want,
it's never over until it's over. And with eligibility and the way people can get waivers, like it's really like an 8-year game.
Yeah, it's not an 8-year game, but it's definitely a 5-year game. And yeah, I'm just glad we're building a ton of relationships with a lot of really good players. We'll see how they pan out.
I agree.
Obviously, we want them on campus as soon as possible, but
Speaking of football players on campus, Brad, actually, I guess these would be football players off of campus. Shout out to D'Angelo Pons. Shout out to Aiden Fisher and Elijah Surratt. D'Angelo Pons is going to have a football camp in South Florida. I believe that's end of June 28th, potentially is the date. But go check out D'Angelo on Twitter. He's got a graphic that's been going out. Fisher and Surratt doing the same thing in the Virginia area. So shout out to the guys getting out there, giving back to their communities. And, we love to see that. So go check out those guys on socials and you can check out those schedules.
No, teaching the youth the sport really is like a beautiful thing. And it's really telling, like, I only bring that up today because I was playing basketball today. I was doing my, runs on Sunday. Or no, today's Monday. So it was Memorial Day runs. And there's these high schoolers, they're like, got to be like sophomores, juniors, like nowhere near seniors. But they're good players, but just like young and lean. So it was cool kind of like giving them pointers and, telling them,
You're saying they couldn't play in the Big Ten right now?
Helping them learn basketball, like knowing when to cut. Like, hey, when you pass me the ball, cut to the basket right away, as opposed to waiting a second and then cutting to the basket. That way I can.
So you're saying that they aren't Big Ten ready? Is that what you're saying?
We're working on it, We're working on it. So hopefully Fisher, Surratt, and Pons could do a lot better job than I did and help these guys out in their their development. And obviously what I'm thinking, Fisher sees a guy, he's like, he calls up Sig. Yo, Sig, I got us one of them ones. I found him one. He's gonna and we're gonna get him. And that kid was Monshun Sales, Showtime Sales.
Going to the Elijah Surratt Virginia camp.
Yeah.
No, but shout out to the guys. We love to see that. And again, go check out the guys on social media for the information on the camps. I'll go to John in the chat real quick because that's going to lead into the next point I was going to make. He said, this is the most talented and deepest team SIG has ever had. I expect him to make a run in the CFP. We both agree.
Yeah, I think
funny enough though,
have it at like when we want to win in the tournament this year.
This is how I know John's always got me because I was trying to figure out how to transition from Indiana to the CFP with an Indiana slant to go back into Indiana, but this is perfect. So if you go to last year, the college football committee voted, or I guess full blown stop. The college football committee voted moving forward that there are no more auto bids or no more auto buys. So winning the conference championship no longer guarantees you a bye. They're just going to straight seeding, and they released
still an auto bid though.
Yeah, correct. So there are auto bids, no more auto buys.
That's important.
Very important. But they released what the seeding would have been with the straight seeding,
which we already knew. We talked about it on Six on the Side way back.
Yeah, we beat it into the ground. But Indiana would have hosted a playoff game last year. But obviously, this is a welcome change. The only the only people mad about this is Boise State, and it doesn't even take an opportunity away from them. It just, if anything, it took away their opportunity to host a home game, which, like, I'm not sure what the money disparity would have been.
They wouldn't have been able to host a home game because if they're on the road.
Oh, would they have been? They were seated back.
Yeah, because
they would have been in Indiana.
If they're ranked high enough, like in the top 8, they're getting an auto bye. So then they're neutral field. So it doesn't even take away that opportunity for them. There's really no reason to really be upset because you got to win from that spot 3 games.
They just want to.
If you can't win the 8-9 game, like don't come at me that we're in a worse spot to win the whole thing. It takes a lot. It's 4 wins now to get to the Ohio State had to win 4 games to win the national title game this year, and people wanted to shit on them for calling it the greatest run of any college football team ever, when it's like, yeah, it is the greatest run because it's the first one that happened. So yeah, at this point in juncture, it is the greatest one to happen. So dude, just picture like Bloomington. It's cold. It's snowy. It's middle December. They got the Reds on. Then comes Ashton Genty. Oh man, that would have been such a good game. I think we would have won by about 10. I think it would have looked like, remember, Boise State gave Penn State a little, like, yeah, it wasn't that close, but it wasn't like they were walking all over them like you watch Bama do.
Listen, but week 2 of the college football season, we watched Genty go up against Oregon, and like there's a reason he was the number 6 pick in the draft as a running back. Like, he's special. So like that would have been a problem. I think Indiana would have beat them. They're a better team, but like, I don't think that. Like Dow says in the chat here, Boise State versus IU would have been a good matchup. Like, I completely agree. Like, I think that would have been an electric matchup. And I think if you think about the first round through that lens of what those matchups could have been, you don't have 30-point blowouts in 2 of the 3 games. Like, you just have an actual first round that like looks competitive, and then the better teams move on. And so you have slightly more competitive in theory second round, and then the better team moves on, and then you have a more competitive third round. Like, that's how it should be. So
yeah, I think Daryl nailed that score prediction, by the way. In our hypothetical, we love hypotheticals here. We love them. Love hypotheticals here. But yeah, in a hypothetical matchup, I think I would, like, my game prediction would probably be 38-27. I probably would have done 45-27 going into it, just because I like to add a touchdown to my IU score.
Well, I mean, again, it would have been strength on strength because number 1 rush defense, number 1 rusher. Like, Jeremiah Love was able to get loose for like 1 play, but that was really the only time all season we saw a running back gash Indiana. But yeah, shout out to Fat Boy. Not a Sunday. Brad made the same mistake, but we're live on a Monday. Trying to accommodate all the Pacer fans. This is kind of what I wanted to build the episode around, though, Brad. This is kind of where I got the idea for the theme.
Well, I believe to wrap it up, we win that Boise State game. Guess where we're going?
Wasn't it Notre Dame?
No, we get Oregon. Wait. And guess what that Oregon?
And that would have been in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, and that would have been in the Rose Bowl.
Oh my God.
We would have gone to the Rose Bowl, Keezer.
PK Hemby was good against IU, but if you go back and watch his run, who made the lead block on D'Angelo Pons? I don't know what you call that referee that stands back there, but like, we got scholarship spots. We should actually look to sign that guy. That's arguably.
Hemby was the running back that played best against us, which was funny that we kind of added him.
Well, yeah, they were like,
besides Jeremiah Love, obviously, who was not available. So
no, actually,
next option would be Jerome Embiid.
Surprisingly enough, like he didn't hit the. I can't believe. I could imagine why he didn't hit the
top 5 pick isn't transferring schools. Why?
What?
You can get an NIL bag though.
You got any closing thoughts for Indiana football, Brad, before we transition into Embiid knows how to use his blockers?
Refs are part of the game, you know.
They are. I'm surprised more refs don't get caught up in plays like that.
I'm surprised more teams don't scheme up around ref movements to ref scheme like ref screens.
Maryland was scary. I've gone back a couple times to like watch game highlights or like try and like my TikTok edit game is going to the next level. Let me tell you, like, but that's neither here nor there. But I've been like going back to watch like the game. Like Maryland was like score for score. Like if you remember, Rourke I think got picked off on his first like 2 passes that he threw.
His first one was incomplete. Then he throws 2 picks. His next 2 throws.
And I believe it was tied coming out of half. Like it was definitely too close for comfort. Like it was a 2-score win and they did beat up on a bunch of teams, but definitely like I agree with that.
When you play in the Big Ten, you're gonna have tests here and there. Maryland beat USC last year. Like they weren't bad.
No, that's why it's a
good conference.
That's why I will not hear any like schedule arguments or like anything about Indiana's non-con, because you look at the Big Ten, like even the 13th best team in the Big Ten would win every other conference besides the SEC.
Yeah. Basically, I think Maryland wins the Big 12 last year, to be honest. Is that a crazy take?
I mean, they got rated like a Big 12 team.
They go 8-4, 9-3 in the ACC. Last year, at least. I don't know about this year. This year's gonna be different for them.
That's like it's not just like TV contracts and like talk that the SEC and the Big Ten in particular are the 2 best leagues. Like they're putting up the most money. They have the biggest coaching staffs. Like they have the highest paid coaches. They have the best facilities. Like it's a whole takeover of the game. Like it is a whole different level when you're talking about these 2 conferences in particular. And so, yeah, I think a Maryland would go 9-3 playing an ACC conference schedule, or like the Big 12 isn't a bad conference. You know what I mean?
We're starting to sound like our friends down south.
We are, and it's disgusting, but it's got to call it like I see it. Like you show me where in the ACC teams are spending $60 million on their roster.
Full disclosure, I call it Power 2 football for the most part. You know I do. I call it Power 2, Big 10 SEC. But around like my Arizona buddy, you know, call it Power 4. Just make him feel better.
It's under the guise of Power 4 right now. And that's kind of what we're seeing with this committee that the Power 4 conferences elected. But there was like Jackson Johnson had a quote tweet of something today about like the SEC was having backroom conversations telling like Sankey they're cool with him leaving the NCAA. And now like I'm already like I've proclaimed the NCAA dead multiple times live on paper, like whatever. But it's like this stuff is happening in real time. It's like that's why, like, not just for the fans, for people like us, like that like the time was now for Indiana to put their foot down and become good at football, because if you get left behind and at this point in time, you're cooked.
100%.
Oh my God. I almost completely forgot. I don't know what it's just something about going on a Monday. Iowa, Nebraska dominates the ACC or Big 12. Yeah, I completely agree. You look at the level of talent on their rosters. It's like they're sending 3-4 guys to the league consistently every year.
Talk here in Bloomington is that Sig is spending more money than he's letting on. I hope so.
Yeah, that's how the game works.
Illegal mob money, and we're just spending $100 million on rosters every year. Just
the number is always bigger than they put out publicly. Like Ross Bjork, Ohio State's athletic director last year said their roster was worth $20 million, and it was actually worth 40. Like right now, people are like, oh, high-end rosters in college football cost $40 million. It's like, no, that was last year's number. Like the number is going up. Like you think that some freshman, and I'm not calling like Bryce Underwood some freshman, but in this context, like some freshman gets $10 million and the junior or senior superstar on the same team isn't going to say something. How about on a different team? Like that's the game being played. So yeah, I hope Signetti is spending more money than he's letting on, and that I hope he's just, because he's a master of using the media to build his narrative as well, and he is very good at positioning Indiana to be protected. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he was almost taking the wind out of Indiana's sails intentionally in that regard. At the same time, like whatever the number again is publicly, there is a gap between what Indiana is spending and what a team like Ohio State's spending.
There probably is. For now. I don't think we're there. I don't think we're ready to spend $40 million on a roster, $50 million.
And I don't think they need
we
to.
We got to keep building it smart how we're doing it, and then we can make the splashy plays once we have the foundation. Once we have a 3 deep of 4 5-star O linemen, then we can start splashing it up.
Well, Brad, this is literally the whole point I wanted to make this week that I was just about to blow right by. But it was Andy Staples tweeted out Clark Brooks on three's top 100 impact players list. And with the caveat that he said, this probably means I blew it with Indiana and need to redo the top 25. And like, he's right. He did blow it with Indiana because the first school is Texas. They have 7, Florida 6. And then it's 5 schools with 5, Alabama, Clemson, Indiana, Oregon, Penn State. Like, you like, we've been blue in the face talking about how good this team is coming back. It's like, I guess he needed Clark Brooks from On 3 to put it in writing for him and for people to like kind of realize like, oh my God, maybe they do actually have some real talent coming back and brought in some real impact guys. But like, yeah, like that's why the title of this is, yes, you're too low on the 2025 Indiana Hoosiers. Like look around the country, look who has the dudes coming back. Like we're one of those schools.
Yeah. And we made the playoff last year. If people forgot, like 11-1, like not 10-2, not 9-3. Like they went 11-1 last year, and they're bringing back all their best players. It's quite fascinating. Where the lack of hype, like if basically with this type of roster construction, any other Power 2 school besides Indiana would be getting top 10 consensus across all these preseason rankings. They would, even if it was Purdue,
100%. Like Illinois,
like that. The only thing that's holding him back is the fact that it's IU on the logo.
Yeah, I saw Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier call it brand brain. I thought that was funny.
The brand brain's a great way to put it because and it's true. Obviously, I'm not like oblivious to why that is. Like I do think Indiana has to prove it this year. I think they will. But they do have to prove it. They have to win. If they want to be taken seriously, they have to win 9 games this year. There's no.
Well, yeah, but looking at like taking a school like Illinois, and people are like, they have 18 returning starters and they're the continuity and all. It's about the quality of player you have coming back too. It doesn't matter if everybody came back if your team was terrible. And like that was a good football team, but like I don't know, man. Like we don't see it. It's almost like bang your head into the table. Like,
but Illinois, I like it. Like we should be having like
I like it, but it's also frustrating.
It's like when we would remember 20-21, and we had like a lot of like, oh yeah, Indiana's like they're gonna be top 15 again next year, and then obviously the flop happened. Like I like that we're not getting that this year because this team by far has more coming back than that team did. Like by far,
not even
way more, not even close, and
not even close.
Yeah, it's especially because that team didn't have the portal or anything like that, so they were
the financial backing.
Yeah, 100%. So it's crazy that there's just not any hype. It doesn't make any sense because we literally had the hype train going into 2021, which obviously was the most disappointing season in IU football history.
And it's like they have too. And they have the lightning rod head coach. They have high level NFL draft picks up and down the roster. Like they have a beautiful campus. They have a recognizable brand outside of football. It's like the only thing holding them back is people think Indiana football is bad, which history tells you they are. But again, I'll beat this. I'm going to have to trademark this. Like They're looking at Indiana's football history. They're not looking at Kurt Cignetti's football history, and that's the mistake here, and it's going to have a lot of people looking stupid.
I'm here for it. I am here for it. I cannot.
And we'll be right here typically on Tuesday nights talking about it, but obviously Monday night tonight.
Yeah. Fat Boy says the safety from Purdue would have helped me sleep better at night if they would have taken him in the portal. I was talking about how I wanted Dylan Tyneman in the portal. Remember that? Like after the Purdue game too. I was like, I want Dylan Tyneman in the portal because I know they're going to.
Did he end up at Oregon? He ended up at Oregon.
He's at Oregon.
Yeah, so we'll see him again.
Tough to beat him. But tough to beat those guys on the recruiting trail. Soon though, we'll be there where we can get the Purdue guy to go to Indiana over Oregon. We're close. But I mean, Tyneman he was a freshman All-American, very similar to D'Angelo Pond's level of just recruit to bring in. So yeah, I do have us still going to Eugene and getting a dub. And they continue to put Illinois over us. Yeah. Like I'm saying, like I swear, Illinois has a big part of Illinois' argument is that they have 4 of their 5 starters on O-line coming back. Indiana has 3. And they brought in 3 transfers. So I don't know. Man, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me why there's no hype coming around Indiana. I think it'll happen though. People will turn around and start to realize.
Well, yeah, it's going to be inevitable. If that Illinois game goes the way I think it does or think it will, then yeah, there's going to either be a lot of people going, man, we misranked Illinois, or like, holy cow, I guess we were wrong about Indiana.
Yeah. Yeah. The good news is that we have a prove it game week 4. So we'll see how good we are then. That actually is I'm not scared. I'm never daunted, but I mean, that's the game that's going to make me a little queasy in my stomach on Friday night. Just well.
No, I call that it's like nervous excitement. That's butterflies. Like these are like, yeah, let's play a top 10 football game in week 4. And Indiana, like, who knows where they're going to be ranked? I think composite rankings had them at like 23, which again, if you listen to us, like that's pretty much where I thought they were going to end up, like from the media. And I doubt they get much movement playing the non-conference that they do. So like the Illinois, hopefully they hold up their end of the bargain and they come in as a top 10, top 8 team. Who knows what movement ahead of them looks like? Like maybe some people lose and they're a top 5 team. Like maybe Indiana gets to put a top 5 win on their resume early in the season. Who knows?
Maybe Indiana loses to Illinois and then beats both Oregon and Penn State and sneaks back into the tournament. So maybe we shouldn't just, freak out over one game anyways.
I'm not. That's true. 96 days till football season, John. 96 days.
I'm so fired up. I'm so fired up.
Do you have a football closing thought here, Brad, before I hop over to basketball real quick?
Football closing thought. Excited to pre-order my Phil Steele book. Going to be 15 years in a row. I bought a Phil Steele book. Yeah. I think it's the 15-year anniversary of me being a Phil Steele customer.
That's big time. I'm actually it does fire up Brad. Like he gets very excited talking about it.
Yeah. It's my favorite book.
It's
the only thing I read all year.
I'll take that. Loss at Illinois, beat Oregon and Penn State. I mean, I would take that. Give me all of them. I'm greedy. And I think it's okay to be greedy in situations like this. Like, well,
Yeah. I'm taking a playoff bid.
That's kind of where I'm at.
I'm here to dance. And if we're dancing,
I'm at the point,
I'm going to be happy. If we're not dancing, I'm going to be a little disappointed that we're not.
I'm split because I really enjoy like pushing back against the narrative and like fighting against it, but it's almost like it's tired. Like I'm repeating the same points over and over again. I'm at the point where I'm ready to watch pads hit pads and like, I'm ready for ball. So we're definitely counting down the days. But again, I think I'm going into this football season as an Indiana football fan being greedy about what we can do this year. I agree. I agree, Fat Boy. I want the Big Ten title too.
Oh man.
And I don't think
in Indy. Oh. Home game in Indy.
We got to get one in before they move the conference title game to Vegas.
You don't think Hoosiers will travel to Vegas?
I'm saying we need one in Indy before they move it to Vegas. That's what I'm saying.
True. Yeah, I think I bet Pons gets a pick 6. Dante Moore loves throwing pick 6s. He loves it. He loves it so much. It's like one of his favorite things to do. Just throw
User
a
lurk.
pick six. Yeah. I think D'Angelo Pons takes a pick 6 on Dante Moore. I'm calling it.
Mendoza's mobility will be fun to watch and add another 10 points. Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting, different new pieces to this Indiana offense. The Mendoza mobility being a huge one. Again, I talked about in my solo pod without our solo show 2 weeks ago. They literally like moved the quarterback off the spot 0.25% of the time. 0.25. What does it even look like? I don't know, but it's good. They're going to move Mendoza significantly more than that, and obviously that opens up a whole other side of the playbook. Shout out to Jackson Johnson dropping the Indiana Voice of College Football Twitter in the chat. Yeah, that's what we got for football. Yeah, my closing thoughts on being greedy.
Yeah, I think we have a right to be greedy because I think Mendoza's mobility is probably the biggest difference of this game, besides the fact that I think every position group is better. I think, getting better is one thing, but then having a totally different dimension to the offense is unlocking that speaks volumes. That offense was absolutely humming last year. So just picture what it could be. Could it make it even more convoluted to where it almost regresses? Maybe, but I'm an optimist and I believe in Mike Shanahan. I'm going to believe that it's going to take a big jump in the ladder. I think that was the first time Mike Shanahan's worked with a guy that couldn't roll out. We talk about, remember when we first started this pod, we talked about all the James Madison quarterbacks, Todd Centennial, Jordan McLeod. Those are all dual threat guys. So to bring in a guy that's like that, but 6'5" and has the pocket passer capabilities, kind of the mix of Jordan McLeod and Curtis Rourke in a way. There you get, an Andrew Luck type prospect in Fernando Mendoza. There you go.
And Fat Boy says Fisher is being overlooked. Shaking my head.
Fisher's
the best returning linebacker in the Big Ten,
in the country, probably.
It makes him that.
He was probably one of the best returning linebackers in the Big Ten going into last year. So he should.
He played like it.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. His work was dual threat before the injury. Not like Mendoza or Jordan McLeod though. I think it's a little different. I think he had that.
We talked about
Burrow escapism type.
We talked about his rushing ability. It's not like he was like a mobile guy, but he definitely had the ability to escape much more than he was able to show last year, where it's like he was pretty much dominating from the pocket the entire time. So it got masked. But against an Ohio State, against a Notre Dame, taking into account that maybe he could have moved right or left a little bit quicker than he did because of his injuries, you got to think what if going into it, specifically those two games, but they beat everybody else.
Yeah, I think who was really athletic at Ohio was Rourke's older brother, Nathan. Nathan was really athletic, but he was about 6'3", a lot shorter, less gangly than Curtis. But yeah, Curtis definitely could run a little bit before the knee injury.
Two-time MAC player of the year.
Two knee injuries took away his mobility, and obviously his brother, former Jacksonville Jaguar, which we love.
Gladstone guys.
Yeah, Nathan Rourke was very, very mobile back in his day. Had to imagine that Rourke was similar, even though he's a lot bigger. But that's it for football for me.
I got stat correction, Brad.
What?
No, for me.
Oh yeah.
After this, I'm done talking about Indiana versus Kentucky until they play on December 13th. I'm not stat correcting that if it's wrong. But last week I said that the Oladipo Zeller team beat Kentucky in the tournament. That team actually lost to Kentucky in the tournament. The team that beat Kentucky in the tournament was that 15-16 team. So
yeah, the Thomas Bryant, Yogi.
I feel full blown stat corrected on the Indiana Kentucky ordeal. I'm ready to put that behind me, and I'm ready to move forward.
Yeah,
But shout out to the listeners who are correcting me in the comments. Like we welcome that. Like if you see a stat correction in there, like boom, let me know about it. If I see it, I'll bring it up on the show, and obviously we try and catch it. So if Indiana Kentucky is back on an annual basis in college basketball, I will play the Peanuts music. Play the Peanuts music. They're gonna play, I think, for the next 5 or 6 years. I think the next two are at Rupp, then they play maybe in Indy, and then they play in Bloomington.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can play the music, Jackson.
Yeah. It's back. It's back. I want him to play in football. Really, it's kind of what I want.
Yeah,
bring back that
that's
football
next.
rivalry.
Well, maybe like we talked about
every year.
That was one of the things I talked about with Mark Rogers when I went on the Voice of College Football show, was that eventually through like back to football, here we go. But eventually at some point in the Signetti era, like you're going to start strategically scheduling these non-conference games to be bigger matchups. Is that Indiana Kentucky matchup something where they explore to make it on an annual, semi-annual basis? And that is a Big Ten SEC matchup. It's quote unquote a rivalry game, and it's one that's very winnable for Indiana year after year after year. I would be surprised if they weren't trying to explore that, at least on the Indiana end. I don't know how much I'd be jumping at that from a Kentucky side, though.
I mean, I hope Kentucky's like, oh, we're SEC and pound our chests and take it for like a 30-year deal, and we just take them to the Thunderdome and probably win that series about 25-5. Probably what I'd guess for the next 30 years.
But no, for Indiana basketball, Brad, we talked about last week that the driving dog gift started to circulate, that has typically meant that we're getting Indiana basketball news shortly. Well, we're here pretty much a week later, and there has been no news.
Oh, okay.
No, that's kind of my point, is like
no news is good news.
No, well, I was gonna say, like, that's why I was kind of like, we keep getting matched up with the Pacers, which is like super annoying for us. Like this is the first time we flexed the show, but obviously like going on Tuesday this week, getting through the holiday weekend, maybe instead of a Monday news dump, there's a Tuesday news dump tomorrow. Potentially a bunch of different things come out. Like I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we get another Bison promo or the Bison reveal or something like that, or we get some sort of news that gets slowed up by the holiday weekend. But yeah, I don't want to say that you can just stop paying attention to the Burner Army. I think that would be wrong, but I just think that maybe the holiday weekend slowed up some of the news that we potentially getting. It's still kind of like open-ended what that meant.
I have news. Tate Connerway withdrew from the NBA draft. Of that.
I was getting to that.
Oh, man. Breaking news.
Yeah, he did. I didn't even know he was in the NBA draft. But
that's
yeah,
how I know he's for sure starting.
Yeah.
Him, Reed Bailey, and Tucker DeVries are the only guys on that roster that are for sure going to start. Lamar Wilkerson probably has a really good chance to start, but I don't think it's guaranteed at all.
Well, when I went through the roster to kind of like to do my like semi deep dive that I didn't get completely through, I ended up at Connerway, Wilkerson, Dorn, DeVries, and Bailey.
Yeah, with what they have, because Bailey's clearly, because they didn't bring any fives, so Bailey, you got to shift everyone down.
Well, but then
Bailey and Sam Alexis are the fives, and then
if you bring back Goody and Leal, then there's your roster, because once you go over 13, it starts affecting rev share, and they're not gonna mess with rev share for an extra guy. So it's interesting. I'm not married to that, but it's just like they're small and not exactly.
That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be Reed Bailey at the 5, even though he's a 4. They're going to go small ball, and I think Tucker, from what I was hearing from a lot of Drake and West Virginia fans, Tucker plays the 4 typically, and they go small. So if he's capable of doing that, he's a grown man. You know, he's like 24 years old. I think he can guard a 21-year-old 6'9" guy. I think he can pull it off. I think he can do. That's literally what it is, though. That's what it comes down to, right? Like him being older, I think helps there, as opposed to having like a little child like Mbako there. And then,
do you want to talk about Mbako, or do you want to just blow right by the fact that he had like 100 points in 3 games?
Who cares? Who cares? No, you want to hear my Mbako NBA. Yeah, he went out. I've always said he's a great scorer, one of the better scorers of the ball I've seen, at least from a shooting perspective. I will say the passing and the dribbling was new to me. Did not see that much at Indiana. He definitely worked on that. That was new.
You think that was a Bucky thing?
The scoring, that was like whatever, dude. Like, who is he guarding? Who is that guy gonna guard in the league?
I guess we'll find out.
I guess we'll have to find out, huh? Dalton Connect was 10 times the scorer he was in college and can't see the floor because he refuses to understand rotations on defense. So take that for what you will on where Mbako is going to end up. There's 60 draft picks. There's less than 60 open job opportunities in the NBA in a given year. It's just not set up for success for a guy who wasn't top dog on a top team to find success. It's just not. It's just hard. It's hard. And now if he puts in the work and fixes all these problems and has a great NBA career, I'm gonna root for him. That's gonna be awesome. I hope he's watching. Cause he man. I hope he like. Yeah, I could tell him exactly what he needs to work on. It sounds like it seemed like from the combine footage he was already working on those things. The handle was a lot cleaner. His awareness from a passing standpoint was a lot better. I saw him make some really nice passes. I don't think I saw one of those at Indiana. And that just comes with like playing random runs, you know? This just comes with playing basketball rather than just like in a system where it's like you're supposed to remember all these rules and stuff. And I think him playing a more flowy type game, I think benefits him. Right?
I agree. But back to this current Indiana basketball team, Brad, this current Indiana basketball team is going to do one of my favorite all-time vibes moves. They're going to Peru. Foreign tour for the Indiana basketball team, August 5th to the 12th. Or no, Puerto Rico. Sorry. I don't know why I wrote down Peru. They're going to Puerto Rico, not Peru.
I was going to say, there's no good basketball in Peru.
That's why I was confused. I was thinking Peru all day. I was like, no, but all right. They're going to Puerto Rico, August 5th to August 12th. Yeah, all great documentaries on Big Ten Network start with a foreign tour. And you could tell me if I'm wrong. I would argue I'm completely right. Like every great basketball team goes on some sort of excursion to get closer as a team. Obviously, this is going to be 11 transfers. And if Leal and Goody end up getting waivers, then you got literally 11 new faces. And then that's not even considering the coaching staff and the new strength and conditioning apparatus and like a lot of new shit going on in Bloomington. So to take all the guys and go on a trip like this, huge deal for chemistry reasons. And like, I love the move. Pumped when I saw that and very excited for those guys to have that experience. But again, like if you're going to watch a documentary about the 2025 Indiana Hoosiers in 30 years, it's going to start with this Puerto Rico trip.
No, I love these trips. I think it's super important that I don't think they did this under Woodson or under Archie, but it's actually super common that teams do this.
Very common.
Steve Alford, I believe, took his team international every year when he was at UCLA. I think it really does help build chemistry off the court, which is very, very important for on the court success, at least in that particular game, where it really does come down to like understanding how a guy is feeling in a moment, right? Like truly knowing the person, like that goes a long way. When you have all these new faces, you know, that's going to take some time to build up. And I don't know if, you know, a September camp is the best way to manufacture that. I think you gotta go a little outside the box here and send the team to Puerto Rico, and they're probably going to play some good. And playing professionals, grown men, also helps too.
But either though it's a lot harder to force, and competition does this, but it's a lot harder to have 11 new guys gel when they're all fighting for 5 spots versus like we kind of don't know really what's going on. Maybe we have an idea, maybe we don't. But you guys are now a team. You're going to go play against grown men. Like you're going to. And in the meantime, like get your shit done and then go like enjoy the island, like go become teammates. And it's like, that's That's how you become closer. It's not just like school and class and practice. It's like, what are you doing outside of that? And like, this is like a huge opportunity for them. And so like, again, you want to see green flags coming out of your program. Like that's a green flag for me.
I think it's in basketball, it's super important that the team remains super cliquey, like they only hang out with each other. I think that's super important. Period. Like I don't need to explain why that's important. It's just goes without saying. It's a very different. Is that the same UCLA team that had a couple guys arrested in China for shoplifting? Yes, it was. LiAngelo Ball, Jalen Hill.
He did not quite bend the corner.
And LiAngelo Ball, Cody Riley, and Jalen Hill all ended up getting in trouble with that, and they had to get bailed out by Donald Trump himself. That was one of the more embarrassing stories coming out of that university in some time. That was a bit like that was like a week, but like that was like so bad, by the way. Like they were about to get like in really big trouble by the Chinese government for that. That's like an absolute no-no, is stealing. And
yeah, it was a huge deal.
And Trump had to step in to like save their lives, basically. And basically, if we're gonna do a little aftermath, like what happened to them? Okay, LiAngelo Ball ended up dropping out of UCLA, became a rapper. Jalen Hill ended up actually going through a lot of like mental stuff around that whole information. He basically medically retired from the sport entirely. And then Cody Riley stuck it out and went to a Final Four with Mick Cronin in the second year. Yeah,
what a roller coaster!
Starting five on that team. Yeah.
That's Pac-12 memory of the week.
Pac-12 memory of the week. LiAngelo Ball. And when that story came out, like I don't want to be like I've been really bad at this when I'm like coming at kids, but like he's not a kid anymore, so I can do this. LiAngelo Ball was definitely the bad egg in that situation, by the way. He 100% somehow just got Cody and Jalen Hill involved in that. I don't know how that happened. That made after that whole thing went down, he basically had to get kicked off the team. UCLA had to miss out on LaMelo Ball and basically made LaMelo Ball kind of untouchable from college programs. So he went abroad, and then, that's how that all went down. That's why LaMelo Ball never played in college. That there was a lot of things that came out of that.
Yeah, it was going to be they basically took LiAngelo just to get LaMelo.
Well, I think they won a national title in high school. I think you're just going to take all three of them, to be honest.
Yeah, because they had 2 top 5 NBA draft picks.
No, they had 3. And
it's true. Yeah, they had Okongwu too.
He went lotto as well.
Not top that Chino Hills team was disgusting.
That team had,
they were actually really good. Like,
I had to go see them play in high school. I saw them at Damien High, literally come out. Lonzo hits 2 threes right away. Just right away.
With the wacky release.
Before you could even blink, Lonzo hit 2 threes. They're up 6-0. They're full court pressing the whole time. Eli Scott, Yaneka and Kongwu, a little 8th grade.
I can't believe he hit.
And LiAngelo and Lonzo. Like that team was insane.
I remember trying to shoot like Lonzo and just be like, how does he? I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, it
just went in. He was cash.
Bad. It's bad for your shooting form to try to shoot like him. Messes everything up. I don't know how.
Yeah, for all the
you go across not just in front of your face or like, because usually you put it at like your eyeball or above. Or unless you're shooting at your chest, which is what children do.
No, he literally
shooting at your eyeball or
his body and shoot it like this.
No, but he was going cross face. Never seen that before. That was wow.
I'm surprised. I mean, I understand what. This isn't a ball family podcast, but I understand why the Spurs stayed away. But their shot coach, like you almost just feel like Lonzo Ball would have been a perfect Spur.
They did. I mean, the Bulls fixed it. They changed his shot, and he was.
If Lonzo Ball was
the knee injury,
if Lonzo Ball was Lonzo Smith and his dad wasn't LeVar Ball, then he would have been an awesome Spur.
It's true. But he had those knee injuries that basically derailed his career. Lonzo had a great career until the knee injuries. He couldn't walk without pain for like a year. It was bad.
I didn't have 2.5 minutes of Lonzo Ball talk written down, but
me neither. Pac-12 memory of
but
the week.
hey, you said
Abel chat brought it up. So it's like I said, Memorial Day extravaganza. Anything goes. Anything goes in the Memorial Day extravaganza.
That's what I got for this week, Brad.
Just an old trip down memory lane.
I want to circle back.
So as long as the guys don't shoplift in Puerto Rico, we should be fine. Is my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I think that's also like, I think, because we didn't start off the podcast, but we did spend a little bit of time talking about that Indiana's got 5 scholarships left. And if you wanted to nitpick at 1 or 2 things about this Indiana football program right now, like that'd probably be one of them. But you don't want to just bring anybody into your program. You want to be really selective about who you're bringing in, because it just takes one bad egg to negatively affect your culture. And so I'm okay being like very guarded about who comes into this team. Like, point of the matter is, like, this is going to be an elite football team, and they're going to play at a really high level. They're going to play in a lot of like very important football games, and like this is uncharted territory for Indiana football fans, and that's an exciting thing. And we're going to get, as the season starts to ramp up, there's going to be a lot of pushback from the national media about how real last year was. But if you've been following along all offseason with us, like, you know, they reloaded and got better. And so, yeah, people are too low on the 2025 Hoosiers.
That's a good way to put a bow on this, considering the title, where I was lazy and just called it the Memorial Day extravaganza, but I couldn't have put it any better. It's almost like confusing why there's no hype around this team. It's almost like there should definitely be hype. Like most teams would be getting hype around this, like whatever's going on. Like, I think you put it like, remember we kept on talking about how there's 3 All-Americans coming back? Like, make it like, to change the picture a little bit, that's 3 NFL. That's a draft pick on each level of the defense. Lock. Like, for sure, NFL like guys. And that's not even, there's probably more just around the roster. And they have it. That offense hums. I don't think they're going to miss a beat. They bring back 3 linemen. Like, teams like that would be getting a lot more hype than what Indiana is getting. So I like being under the radar, but it's a little it's not concerning. It's just like, it's puzzling, really. It's like, how is there no hype, considering the hype that we got in 2021 too?
With no substance, to where if you are paying, like, everyone who looks at this is like, there's substance here. And I don't know. It makes it fun to watch. It makes it fun to watch from our perspective, because there's 6 months of tape now that are going to be like, we told you idiots, you were wrong. And then we get to be like, we told you, look at this.
It makes you think differently about media. So I'm interested to
see about pushing a narrative, Brad.
To see where Phil puts us. Like, because from what I'm seeing, like the consensus is like, we're like 6 or 7 in the Big Ten. So if I see Phil just go out and put us at 4 again, like we were last year, I know he knows what's up. Very obvious. I digress.
Yep. Shout out to Phil Steele.
Shout out Phil Steele, philsteele.com. I don't work for them by any means, but you know, if you want my endorsement,
we got nothing
magazine preview. If you want my endorsement for preseason magazine preview, it's Phil Steele, philsteele.com. Best football preview magazine. He does NFL, FCS, FBS. I only get the FBS one, but he does a lot of great stuff. He's a nerd.
Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, follow, all that good stuff. Indiana at the Voice of College Football on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at Indiana VOCFB. Shout out to Jackson who dropped the links in the chat. I guess I could throw them up here. Bang. Wait, no, Instagram. On X, check us out on YouTube. If you're watching on X or you're watching on Facebook, hop on over to YouTube. You can interact in the comments. We're going back and forth the comments the entire show. Check me out on Twitter at Alec Keyser. Check Brad out at Bradley_Loomis8. Check out the Sigs Inside Pod account. Basically has become a fan account burner at this point. It's just, I don't know, we're releasing all the TikTok edits through there, and it's just another outlet for Indiana football. So be on the lookout for that channel as well. check out the Instagram, the ticket. We got content coming left and right and center. And yeah, it's the dead period, but we don't care. There's always stuff happening in the world of Indiana football.
There is no off season at the voice of college football.
You're damn right. You're damn right. We'll have some guests coming in the near future. Like I said last week, Mark Rogers, voice of college football, will be coming on our show at some point in the next couple of weeks. The two of us, either together or separately, at some point are going to be appearing on the college football show as well. So we'll hammer that one down and we'll bring that to the public when we got it. But yeah, a lot of fun things coming down the pipe for the Hoosiers. And then at some point, maybe before we speak again, we'll have a Bison mascot and some Indiana basketball news. So shout out to you guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on Memorial Day as we honor and remember the troops, the people who fought and gave their life for us. And yeah, go Hoosiers and go Pacers.
Go Hoosiers. You got to go Pacers, and you got to send people to the YouTube. Beginning of the
episode. Beginning of the episode. Yeah, all right, Brad is now the send to YouTube guy. So if it doesn't happen next episode, then
that's not what I said.
Yeah, rail him. Brad's the send to YouTube guy. And then at some point, this is hand up. I'm putting this one on live. Can't run from this one. Before the start of the football season, and likely before then, we will have intro music or an intro video and outro stuff. And I'm going to figure out the next level of production on StreamYard. It's time to take the production side to the next level. So you're going to see some
start jamming out, when we
you're going to see we'll collaborate with some friends and have some cool stuff for you guys. So again, appreciate you hanging out. We'll see you next week.
Go Hoosiers.
Go Hoosiers.